What's up, my friends, and welcome into the PHLY Phillies pregame show. We are just a matter of about 25 minutes away from NLDS Game 1. It has been, I got to be honest, guys, the longest week in a long time for me covering this team. It's myself, Tyler Zulli. It's Bill Matz, the PHLY Flyers host and of Philadelphia, and our buddy who writes for ALLPHLY.com. A ton of great prospect articles over the year, Pat Egan, and Ethan Hartley producing today's show. We are brought to you by our friends over at TrueMark, and of course our friends at Bet365, as we are each and every show here on the PHLY Phillies podcast. Hello to everybody in the chat. It is time for the formalities to be over, the wait and see to be over, the what do you think is going to happen in this matchup versus this guy, and the lefty-lefty, and how did this team fare against Sanchez, and everything. We are very close to just seeing it with our eyeballs. And I think objective Tyler has started to fade. Fan Tyler is starting to be here, which is a weird place for me to be. I usually reserve this for Super Bowls and World Series. But I'm to the point now where I have seen enough hype videos and I have watched enough YouTube clips of Matt Stairs ripping it into the night and Jimmy Rollins doing it to Jonathan Broxton again, where I'm ready for this series to start. Guys, I am stoked.
Thank God, Tyler, because you were bumming me out on Friday. Between the Phillies show and Philadelphia, you're sitting there, you're taking the Dodgers, you're worried about how this is going to go. None of that matters anymore. Now it is just about postseason baseball and guys coming through in big moments. Listen, Phils have been disappointing in the playoffs lately. I feel like that team is gone. I feel like they recharged themselves this year, and we're about to go on a run, but all starts game 1 tonight.
This is a different feel. Whether it's Harrison Bader or Joan Duran or Brandon Marsh playing a significantly better second half, Max Kepler rising from the ranks of like DFA to being a productive platoon piece, this team, I think, has answers for a lot of questions. There's still a couple of questions as to who's going to be the right-handed reliever in high-leverage situations. How is Rob Thompson going to utilize Jesus Luzardo in Game 2, Ranger Suarez in Game 3, or out of the bullpen perhaps in Game 1? There are still some questions, but I do think, as I said on Friday, and I said to you, and I said to Pat walking in, these are the two best teams in baseball. And I firmly believe the winner of this series is going to not only go to the World Series, but win the World Series. These are two highly paid, expected teams to be here. The Dodgers have been in the NLDS for 14 straight years, it feels like. The Phillies are here now for the fourth season in a row. And I think at this point, it's time, Pat, to kind of put the chips on the table and see where they fall.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is way different than last year. Like last year, they were leaking oil heading into the postseason. Not only that, they were playing the hot team. They were playing the Mets, who just had that aura. They had the stupid milkshake and a horrible song by their shortstop, and they rode that in the playoffs. This is different. Like the Dodgers, even though they won 100 games last year and they won the World Series, they're not that team last year. I do agree. I think that whoever wins this will probably go to win the World Series, but you're not facing the hot team. And in fact, you could make the argument that the Phillies are one of the hotter teams in the postseason because they weren't playing bad baseball. They're playing really good baseball because of everything that you said.
So let's get into some of the matchups. We're going to talk about the pitching matchups today. We'll get into the lineups, and I think we all had a thought of where does Harrison Bader hit? Where does Brandon Marsh hit? How does this thing get constructed? We'll talk about that. We've got about 20 minutes till first pitch. Let's start with the starting pitching matchup. It's Christopher Sanchez getting the ball in Game 1, a guy that we have spoken so highly of over the years. Pat, you and I have talked about Christopher Sanchez for years. Bill, you and I have done it for months. But I have done it on this show pretty much seemingly every Christopher Sanchez start. The maturation that this kid has had over his career to go from a thrower to a pitcher, to go from a guy who can throw 97 to have to back it to 94 to get command, to have to figure out how does he work the changeup with control, how does he mix in the slider. He's now up to 97. He's an ace on most staffs. This guy is a bona fide ace. There's no question about it. And on the other side, Shohei Ohtani makes his postseason pitching debut. 5 no-hit innings for Shohei Ohtani against the Phillies the last time out. Great stuff. How deep does he go into the game? His 91 pitches against the Diamondbacks was the most he's thrown in a game this season. So before we dive into the numbers, guys, this pitching matchup, it fits the bill for Game 1.
It does, yeah. You're saying Chris Sanchez is an ace, and he has to be because the Phillies are without their ace, and you're up against Ohtani, who Might have been able to carry that no-hitter if they gave him a pitch count, beyond, what was it, 58 pitches
68
or 68
yep.
pitches? Like, that game right there is kind of an encapsulation of what this matchup is. Sanchez battled. He got roughed up a little bit early, but he kept the minute. The Phils were able to make that big comeback as soon as Shohei comes out. I am looking for Sanchez to kind of settle things down and be the guy he's been, because he has to be. And if he wants to be thought of as ace without Zach Wheeler, he needs an ace performance.
Yeah, I'm much the same. Like, he's got to come out and shut him down for about six or seven, because while Ohtani is incredible, if you can just get into their bullpen is me, you, and Bill. Like, it's horrible. Okay, so if you
I
can
just
just
getting the arm loose.
But I've seen you play. It's not impressive. So if you can dip into their bullpen and take advantage of the fact that Dave Roberts is probably not going to have him throw for 100 pitches, you immediately have the advantage. You just have to weather that storm for about 4 innings, and then if you can dial into that bullpen, you should be okay, hypothetically speaking.
Let's take a look at Christopher Sanchez's numbers. 3 things that stand out. First and foremost is season numbers. An elite level season. 200 innings for the first time in his career. 200 strikeouts for the first time in his career. Just above a 1 whip over those 200 innings, and a 2.50 ERA. But the 2 things that I think are going to be vastly important to this particular matchup, the Los Angeles Dodgers are one of the best left-handed hitting teams in terms of facing lefty pitchers in all of baseball. They're top 5 in slug. They're top 5 in OPS. They're in the top 10 in batting average and home runs hit against lefties. So against the right-handed hitters this year, Christopher Sanchez has been really good, because every team for the most part this season has basically said, well, we're going to throw as many righties against this guy as we possibly can. It makes sense. It's matchup. But his great neutralizer, the changeup, is the right-handed hitting neutralizer. Guys this year, as a whole, are hitting 170 off the changeup with a 45.1% whiff rate. He is going to need to spot the fastball early to set the changeup up late. He's a 3-pitch pitcher, but 87% of the time, he's a 2-pitch pitcher. You kind of know fastball, changeup, but the arm action's so good that that's how he sets it up off the outer edge. He's going to have to fire strike 1 a lot today, because this team's going to try to get after him so they don't get into pitchers' counts, which allows him to throw that changeup at will. Fastball's going to be big today.
Yeah, they're going to look to jump on him early, as they did last time out, and you're just hoping he's able to keep them off balance enough that you can get them through this first part of this game where maybe they were playing possum against Ohtani. Who the hell knows? Maybe they're like, we know what's going to happen. Let's back it off a little bit. I doubt it. He's just freaking awesome. But once you get through that 5th, 6th inning, that's where Sanchez has to keep you in it so you can get into that Dodgers bullpen. They've tagged him for 4 twice this year.
Yep.
But the equalizer now, Sanchez has been awesome the last 2 years at home. You're getting him in the best possible situation.
The inverse, Shohei Ohtani, as we said, first postseason pitching performance, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah.
But obviously, when you play for the Angels for half your season,
There it is.
Fold the franchise.
you kind of expect not to make
There
the
it is.
postseason. And the last couple of years, he's been dealing with the Tommy
Yeah.
John and things like that. His first postseason appearance, he mentioned in his media availability, he's a little nervous, but he's excited. He knows the Phillies fans are gonna bring it. We know Phillies fans are gonna bring it. Red October is here for a reason. How much do you think a guy like Shohei Ohtani, who probably is the best player in baseball, maybe the best player to ever walk the planet, how much do you guys think that impacts him? How much do you think, can Citizens Bank Park rattle a guy like that who is making his first ever postseason start?
I think it's a definite possibility. We've seen it with, they've struggled for years with Spencer Strider. All of a sudden, he has to step on the mound in Red October, and it's a different guy altogether.
I lean both ways. Like, part of me goes, yeah, obviously, because of what you just said, right? Like, we've seen guys come in here and just absolutely disintegrate in front of the crowd. Ohtani coming from Japan, though, in those domes where it gets extremely loud, part of me just says, he'll probably be used to it. But then how used to the American game is he? Meaning, he played in Anaheim in front of basically 5 people. And then he goes to LA, where it's basically Mary Hart for 3 innings, and then everybody else shows up. It is a different atmosphere. So
You and Bill speaking the same language. That was his entire show on Friday.
These people just don't deserve it. It's really frustrating.
No, it is. Well, so you see everybody standing. There's Mary Hart, and then at one point I thought it was Seth Green, but it wasn't. It was some old guy that looked like Seth Green.
It was meth green.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was literally like, I don't know who this person is, but they keep showing. But you get that crowd that's a Hollywood-ish crowd. You get the Angels crowd. So I think he's going to kind of be reverted back to the Japanese days, because those crowds get extremely loud.
Sure.
But we're animals. We just are. We're going to eat our young.
Here.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on because this is a very tight pregame show today. Let's talk about the lineups because Trey Turner is back. Obviously, one game. He didn't even play the whole game, but it was good to see him back in the lineup. He's going to lead off for the Phillies as expected. I think the question really surrounded where does Harrison Bader hit? Where does Brandon Marsh hit? Where does Max, like the two lefties in the outfield, and Bader and JT. So Harrison Bader is going to hit 8th. Bryson Stott is going to hit 9th. And I got to be honest with you guys, that's where I want those two guys. And I know Harrison Bader has hit the ball extremely well since coming over, and he's earned a right to be 6, in the 6th spot or in the 7th spot or whatever. When you have those two guys, Bader and Stott at the bottom of the lineup, who have a capability of grinding out at bats. Bryson Stott's in the top 10 every year in pitches per plate appearance. And on top of it, you have those two guys who can move on the base paths. And you set the tone as like the table setter for Trey Turner, for Kyle Schwarber, for Bryce Harper. When you have speed at the bottom of your lineup and guys that can extend at bats and extend innings, I don't know how it's going to feel with a lefty facing a Blake Snell. Like, does Edmundo Sosa play in game 2? But for game 1, you're going to rely upon your lefties and the speed at the bottom of your lineup to be that second table setter for Turner, Harper, Schwarber, the guys that you're expecting to drive runs in.
Yeah, on one hand, like I just look at the top of this lineup and I'm just a Bohm hater when he's in the 4 spot. It's just a GIDP waiting to happen. But when you look at the overall strategy of this game, getting into that pen, having maybe not the most top-heavy lineup outside of the top 3 guys, obviously, but spreading it out, you have those at-bats that Ohtani's going to have to fight through all throughout the lineup. That works in the favor of maybe we don't get him for 4 in the 1st, but we can get him out by the 5th or 6th.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think it has to be a tag for multiple runs, but if you can make him throw 22, 25, 27 pitches in the first, inning in the 3rd or so, you can find yourself very quickly going from, Shohei Ohtani was at 28 pitches through 2. He's now at 50 through 3 because you worked him that second time through the lineup. So I do like those two guys at the bottom of the lineup. Kepler, Pat, starting today makes sense against the righty. It was a guy that I know you and I have talked off the air was like, this was a DFA candidate that's close to the trade deadline. Yeah. But Max Kepler gets the start in right field today against the right-handed pitcher, and you're going to go lefty heavy as expected. But he'll hit 7th. Your thoughts on Kepler second half of the season?
Don't like him.
I know you don't, and that's why I asked you specifically.
Look, he's making $10 million, so they were never going to DFA him. But I'm a Castellanos. I will ride for that man, and he has delivered in the postseason big time. But look, numbers wise, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Personally, no, I'd rather have Casty in there. There's something about the swag that man brings to October baseball that I can't get over. But again, it makes sense. Defensively, it makes sense. The production makes sense. I understand it, but this is why I'm with you guys and not in a dugout.
Yeah, no, the swag element of Casty where it is so much, the numbers say one thing, but this is postseason baseball where it's about moments. Yeah. But when we talked just a minute ago about it feeling different this year, maybe going in a little bit different of a direction is what Topper has to do to get the most out of this team, because it's not as if Casty has been good lately. Do I think he can step up at big times? Sure. But right now, he's a platoon player, and I got to trust what's been working. I don't trust Kepler either, but it's this is what they're given in the outfield right now.
Yeah, and real quick, like we talked about, like what's different. I mean, last year it was like you hit 7th, 8th, 9th, and they were automatic outs. And now you're looking at
it. Rojas.
This was a 6-inning game.
Yeah. Bryson Stott, whose elbow was falling off.
But on the flip side, you look at the Dodgers, and it's gross. Like their 6, 7, 8, 9 is disgusting. So it really is a different feel this year as opposed to last year because of what you said. You put these guys on the bottom of the order, even if they don't create a hit. They're usually putting together like really good at bats, which is the most important thing to get in that bullpen. So
speaking of the Dodgers lineup, no Will Smith. He is on the roster, but he's not going to play today, at least to start the game, of course, because Shohei Ohtani is going to be the DH as well. Ben Rortvedt is going to be the catcher. Andy Pages in center. They're going to go with Edmonds and Kike Hernandez at second and short. No Max Muncy against the lefty, which makes sense. He's only hitting 170 against lefties this year. But Kike Hernandez is
horrible.
He's Yeah,
Not a good baseball player.
Except for when it matters.
Yes.
Because all the guy does is hit in the postseason. He hits 205 all year long.
Yeah, no, you're
and then
right.
they go, okay, all right, it's your turn, time to shine.
For
And-
162 is Enrique, and then the postseason
Yes.
happens and he's Kike.
Right. And so they're going to go with Edman, the hero of last year's, postseason run, and Kike Hernandez at third. Alex Call will play in left. I am a big Andy Pages fan. Like I admire him from a distance. Your 8-hole hitter has almost 30 home runs this year. Like that means something to me. But I do think that the top four of this lineup is where the money is made, right? Shohei Ohtani is going to hit. He's going to lead off. Mookie Betts hits second. They flip Freddie Freeman and Teoscar Hernandez. Teoscar's going to hit third. Freddie Freeman will hit fourth. But those four guys right there, I mean, that's a gauntlet to get through.
It's going to be tough. The Phillies are absolutely going to have to earn this. Sanchez is absolutely going to have to earn it. And I'm just feeling good right now. I'm very excited about this. I feel like the Phils have it, but you just go through that lineup and go, This is gonna be a long 9 innings.
I think it's going to be a long series.
If it doesn't go 5, I will be surprised.
I hate the fact that the max is 5.
I wish we could have about 20 minutes to have this conversation because there is absolutely no reason for these two teams to be hamstrung to 5 games.
Well, I mean, you needed that day off between game 1 and 2.
Well, of course.
You needed that.
Because you gotta placate to the NFL.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to go head for head to Sunday Night Football. It's America's game of the week or whatever. So
I think the
absurd.
Jets and the Dolphins might play this week.
I remember seeing the matchup and going like, you got to be kidding me. That's America's game of the week. America's in rough shape if that's the game of the week.
So let's get into some players to watch. We talked about the lineups, we talked about constructions and things like that. For you guys, one player apiece. Heading into this game 1, who's your player to watch? Who's your player to spotlight? Is it as simple as choosing one of the stars, or are you going a little bit deeper than that?
I think this is a series that's going to be chosen by the stars. And when I see on Instagram just a few hours ago, Bryce Harper and his wife announcing another kid, give me that dad strength.
Jeez, really?
This is the
Yes.
fourth kids.
Fourth
It feels
kid.
like the math.
Kids
It feels like the math isn't adding up here.
That's
Like this it has
incredible.
not been 9 months,
Yeah.
but here we are. They've announced yet another child, and I'm going with the dad strength. It is the most chalk pick imaginable, but I think that's what's going to decide this series. It's going to be Harper. It's going to be Schwarber. It's going to be Ohtani. Which one are Freeman? Whoever comes through with the big guys, that's who's going to decide the series.
Yeah, the guy lives for the moment. Like probably nobody I've ever seen before in Philly. He lives for the moment. I'll go though with Trey Turner because he's coming back from injury. Obviously, he's the NL batting title champion. His defense actually improved a lot too, as well.
Quite good defensively this year.
But what guy are you getting? Are you getting a guy that we go, oh, he does look rusty, and in a 5-game series you can't really afford that,
Sure.
or does he just pick up where he left off? And I think he's a big reason why Kyle Schwarber had the MVP season the way he did. I mean, his RBIs went way up because he had a guy like Trey Turner on base a lot. If Trey can get on base quite a bit, and you got the bottom of the order guy, it'll go a long, long way to making me feel a lot better about the series.
And I think for me with Trey Turner, the big question mark is what base runner Trey Turner do we get? Because I think Trey Turner should be okay at the plate, and I feel fine enough where he'll make the routine plays routinely defensively the way that he's played this year. Which Trey Turner shows up on the bases? Because the guy that we saw last year in the second half of the season really was, no pun intended, was hamstrung by the fact that his hamstrings probably were not 100% at any point. And the stolen bases went way down. The first to thirds went way down. He became a less effective base runner. I am curious to see what type of base runner Trey Turner is at the top of the lineup, because I think the team that makes that play, the take the extra bag, the steal the base to set up whether it's a hit and run or to steal second to set up the base hit to score the go-ahead run, the team that's able to take the extra bag or steal the extra bag might be the one that comes away in this one as victorious, because I do think this is going to be a well-pitched, low-scoring game on both sides.
Yeah, you look at these staffs, especially the starters, and you're just expecting, we're all choosing offensive players, but it's going to be those 1 or 2 extra plays. I'm not expecting 9-8 tonight.
All right, guys, prediction time. We are.
You didn't name a player.
Oh, here's my player. I need Brandon Marsh to, and I'm not sitting here telling you that like Brandon Marsh is going to be like usurp Bryce Harper or Kyle Schwarber. What I want to see from Brandon Marsh is not flailing over sliders off his back foot. If he's content with taking what Shohei Ohtani's able to give him, which has been more first pitch strikes than ever before, which has been more strikes than ever before, and he's able to get after him in a hitter's count, I think Brandon Marsh could be a difference maker in this game, because I think One of the 5 lefties in the lineup. He's swung the bat really, really well over the last couple of months. I hope to see him continue to swing the bat well. I think Brandon Marsh could be a difference maker in this game.
I love that.
All right, prediction time. Now, Bill, you and I did a show the other day. You know that I took the Dodgers to win this series.
You did, and you were doing this in the most painful way possible because you and I both said if they're going to lose this series, lose game 1 10-0, and you had Phils win game 1 and then they lose.
Yes.
Like the most painful way possible.
Why would you do that?
I do think the Phillies win tonight. I think the Phillies win this game in a low-scoring game. I think it's going to be a 3-2, 4-3 type of game. Both starting pitchers, I think, pitch effectively and into the 6th at least. And I think it becomes who makes the one mistake out of the bullpen between, the Dodgers' vaunted bullpen, as you brought up, or is it a Kerkering-Robertson type of situation where they don't pick the right guy? But I do think the Phillies win tonight. I'm going to say 4-3.
You thought they were going to win with Bill, and then you said they were going to lose the series. So that doesn't make me feel better.
I think they're going to lose the series. I think they're going to win.
Coward.
I think they're going to win today.
Okay. Phillies 5-4 is my. That's what I'm taking.
I'll go Phillies 8-4. I think they bust open the bullpen. I think it's close. And
So
then they have
Ohtani pitches
one-
well.
Yeah, and then they have that one big inning where we all sit there and kick back and laugh and high five.
This did just happen like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So
All right, well, that'll pretty much do it for the PHLY pregame show. Big thank you to Ethan Hartley for producing. Oh, by the way, Ethan, your prediction before we get out of here.
Easy E.
5-3.
Phillies win? Yeah. All right. So we have four Phillies wins, which means we're going to look really stupid if the Dodgers take game 1.
I mean, if you're watching the PHLY Phillies pregame and being like, they're not objective. Like, yeah, we're all sitting here in Phillies gear, dog.
I will say this. So last year, the Phillies lose game 1, and we came back for pregame game 2, and I said, I'm taking the Mets in game 2. And of course, the Phillies win in walk-off fashion. That was the one time the Phillies did win. But like you guys both brought it up. Last year, after game 1, I went, oh boy. They're cooked. Yeah. And they ended up winning game 2 on the walk-off, but they really stood no chance. You feel much better about this series. Like I've said it on the show on Friday. It is a very straightforward way as to how the Phillies win this series. It's get after the starters and get into their bullpen. It's don't play hero ball. It's move the production line one to the next. Your bottom of your lineup turns it back over to your big guy, your big paid guys, and your starting pitcher shove. I mean, I think it's a pretty straightforward formula. It's really just who executes it better.
I couldn't say it any better.
All right, guys, we're going to be back for a PHLY Phillies postgame show. Win or lose, we'll be here for an hour reacting to the game. We'll talk about, what happened, Christopher Sanchez's start, Shohei Ohtani's start, how it unfolded. We'll get Rob Thompson's thoughts from the podium. We'll see if we can effort some players as well. But until that time, enjoy the game. NLDS Game 1 coming up in just a couple of minutes. Ethan Hartley, Pat Egan, Bill Matz, Tyler Zulli. We'll say see ya until
Let's go!
About 9:30 right here on the PHLY Phillies podcast.
All silly like the mayor.